banks should be great for America. Never mind what we do without ATMs and places to store our money. Banks mean jobs. Banks in America, and there are more than 7,000 of them, employ almost 1.8 million Americans, more than America's largest private employer, Walmart. Banks employ so many people that one bank's layoff can skew the jobs report for the entire nation. I'm talking about Bank of America, which laid off 30,000 employees in September, almost a third of the nation's total planned job cuts for the month. So we should be rooting for the banks.
So that's her intro to her hardball interview with a banker.
She's got an interesting way of backing up Erin Burnett. She's going to go down to Wall Street, to the New York Stock Exchange, and ask everybody there how much they love Erin Burnett. I'm not surprised by any of this, but prepare to be somewhat revolted.
Hi, Erin. Welcome to CNN. CNN's a great place to work. And as you know, I work out of the NYSE, your old haunt. So, you know what? I decided to ask some of your groupie friends, some of your biggest fans, maybe some advice on success. David, you are an old buddy of Erin's. Got any advice for her?
Yes, Erin. Continue to be yourself at all times like you were down here. And we wish you congratulations with your new job on CNN. Wish you all the best of luck.
Warren,
hello.
You know, Erin's got a new show coming up.
I've heard about that.
You love and miss her, don't you?
Oh, God, we miss her so much. Her professionalism, her expertise, but more importantly, that wonderful, optimistic personality.
Oh, look, I've spotted Alan Valdez. I'm actually one of his favorites, Erin, but I know that you kind of know him, too. You don't really miss Erin Burnett, do you?
No, I don't really miss her that much, and you are one of my favorites.
You're obviously a groupie here. What's up with that?
Well, you know, I used to wake up with her in the morning. Now it looks like I'll have to be having dinner with her in the evening.
Watching her show, of course.
Without a doubt.
That was super creepy. I mean, it was creepy on a lot of different levels, but the most relevant one being, so we've done a report on how much Wall Street absolutely loves Erin Burnett.
It is amazing when you listen to so much of the commentary out there that it focuses on bonuses or private jet use or also just that they're not lending. None of these things really are the real issue here. The rise in populism, though, has been amazing. I mean, just the rhetoric out of Barack Obama and Joe Biden this week, that they use the word shameful and outrageous to refer to Wall Street practices. That it isn't choosing Main Street versus Wall Street. That is a completely false choice that is being. Taxpayer money is not being used to pay the bonuses. I think people could understand if you work for a company, right? If the three of us worked for a company, you're guests, and I lost $10 billion. But Steve over there, he made $1 billion. So overall, the company actually loses money. But Steve went and did his very darndest for that company, and he made money. So should he be paid for his work? That's essentially what we're talking about here. And reasonable people could argue about this, but many reasonable people would conclude, yes, he should be paid for that. And I think, David, you've raised a fair point, which is maybe it's the whole use of the word bonus. If you explained to people this is how they are compensated, that might make a difference.
That the gentleman who is head of Goldman Sachs, now he didn't give me $225,000 for speaking fees. He said I was dangerous, and he is right. I am dangerous for Wall Street.
Double standard. I should point out Mr. Glassman is a conservative. A rule that applies to welfare mothers doesn't apply to politically connected corporations, rich speculators, and irresponsible nations. Over and over again, when powerful people and institutions get in trouble, the government bails them out. End of quote. Not when family farmers get in trouble, not when small business people get in trouble, not when poor people get in trouble, but I guess to get government assistance or the help of the feds, you gotta be a multi-billionaire gambler.
I'm sorry. So let me ask you, though, on one thing. I just want to ask you on one thing, because in terms of the style, Hillary Clinton obviously is the first woman to ever be on the stage like we're going to see tonight, and you obviously were debating her in that capacity as well. There was one time, as you remember, when you were talking about people shouting, and after that she came back and said, that's how people talk about women, but not about men. And there was another time when she was talking and you kept saying, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, and we're interrupting her, and people interpreted that as sexist. Is that something you think could happen to Donald Trump tonight?
Well, I'll tell you something else that Senator Sanders was against. He was against the auto bailout. In January of 2009, President-elect Obama asked everybody in the Congress to vote for the bailout. The money was there and had to be released in order to save the American auto industry and 4 million jobs, and to begin the restructuring. We just had the best year that the auto industry has had in a long time. I voted to save the auto industry. He voted against the money that ended up saving the auto industry. I think that is a pretty big difference.
Well, if you are talking about the Wall Street bailout, where some of your friends destroyed this economy,
you know,
excuse me, I'm talking.
Let him respond.
Men, and there was another time when she was talking and you kept saying, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, and we're interrupting her, and people interpreted that as sexist.
It's actually part of her television team, okay? And she's going to be tough with him. Watch.
Russell Goldsmith is on the Out Front Strike Team. That's the group of 20 CEOs, investors, and entrepreneurs that I picked to answer the tough questions about the economy this election season.
But wait a minute. So he's part of your team. But the tough questions are coming. All right, what's the tough questions? Let's see.
When you look at these numbers, it is really, it's really upsetting because it just doesn't feel right. And I want to ask you the first question. Are you doing what Bank of America and some of these other big banks are doing, which is charging debit card fees or increasing your ATM fees?
At City National Bank, we're not changing our fees at all, Erin. We're not putting in debit card fee charges, and we're not raising our minimums.
So what is going on with the big banks?
Well, you know, a lot of the biggest banks are showing a lack of sensitivity right now to the economic environment that we're in and to the kind of issues that the American people feel about.
And explain to me why it is that some of the mid-sized banks, like yours, are not doing it when the big banks are. Is this another case of they're just so big? They're too big.
I don't think it's a question of they're too big. It's about their focus. At City National and a lot of mid-sized banks, we're the local leader. We're the big local bank. We're connected to the community. We're very focused on meeting the needs of our community. I think one of the unfortunate things for the entire banking industry, and I applaud what you said about it at the beginning, is the fact that banks are vital engines of this economy. At City National, we're lending money. Lots of banks are lending money. Our people are involved. We're donating. We're volunteering.
New tonight, we have learned Senator Bernie Sanders is a millionaire. Sanders is a Democrat socialist who has made inequality a cornerstone of his campaign and